I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
A few years later.
The number of gotaways remains elevated. Border Patrol Chief Owen saying there have been 140,000 gotaways over the past 6 months. Before COVID, that was an entire year's worth of unlawful border crossers. Now, it also means that some 1.8 million have illegally crossed the border undetected under the Biden administration.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about woke New York City Mayor Eric Adams for the second time today, because although in the last video, Eric Adams sounded sane compared to the insane leftist that was on the show of The Breakfast Club with Eric Adams, in which she basically is pro-criminal, right? While Eric Adams, I'm not going to say he's pro-criminal, but it's hard for me to really say that he is pro-law and order, considering how his city is still a disaster despite running on law and order, okay? I mean, he's still a progressive. He still supports far leftist policies in that city, particularly when it comes to sanctuary city policies, okay, where New York City declared themselves a sanctuary city where illegals can come and literally commit crime and not be worried about the city helping the feds deport the illegals that are committing crimes. Essentially, sanctuary cities welcome illegal immigrants into the city, saying this is a safe haven. You can come here and be a criminal, right? That's what sanctuary cities are. Now, despite all this, Eric Adams is going to boohoo, whine, and cry racism. He's going to pull the race card after being confronted by Charlamagne, the devil, on the fact that New York City asked for the illegal immigrants that they are getting from Texas, okay? And Eric Adams is going to say, no, it's not our fault. It's not my fault. We're only getting the illegals because the feds are failing to close the border, which he's correct about that, but also because Greg Abbott is racist, and he's sending these illegals to blue cities that are ran by black mayors, okay? He's trying to make black mayors look bad. That's why he's getting the illegal immigrants. So I want to talk about that, but before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Virtual Shield. Countless people are mistaking private browsing tabs as a way to stay anonymous online. It has gotten so bad that a popular web browser had to update their terms of service to let users know that using private web browsing does not stop websites from collecting your data. Even with private browsing mode enabled, you can still be tracked by websites and internet service providers. While many tech-savvy people already know that private mode in web browsers does not make them anonymous, the average user is being misled. That's why I've been protecting my privacy thanks to Virtual Shield VPN, and I absolutely love it. Thanks to Virtual Shield's help, I am able to browse the internet anonymously, which helps protect myself, my data, and finances from cyber criminals, ISPs, rogue tech companies, and data mining giants. With Virtual Shield's anonymous browsing, a strict no-log policy, unlimited bandwidth, built-in malware, and ad blocking, this is a world-class VPN for anybody who cares about privacy online. Cover your tracks with military-grade encryption and industry-leading VPN today. Be sure to use the link in the description below, because every sign-up using that link will get 67% off with a 60-day risk-free trial with unlimited bandwidth, anonymous browsing, and fast internet speeds across all your devices. Try it now before signups end by going to virtualshield.com/BCP. That's virtualshield.com/BCP.
New Yorkers feel safer.
I was a public defender.
New Yorkers don't feel safer.
But that's what you said. That's what you said.
And my original question was about how you relate to that.
You said that New Yorkers don't feel safer.
Yeah.
So
there was a poll that came out last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And in that poll that came out by the CBC, it stated that the priorities of Mayor Adams is moving the city in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
My priority. Now remember, 2 years, 3 months, brother. 2 years, 3 months. I inherited a pandemic. I inherited 180,000 migrants and asylum seekers that can't work, that we have to house them every day. I'd inherit.
You called for a lot of them too, though.
No, we didn't, brother.
You said it was a sanctuary city. You told them.
Okay, let's see. That's why it's important. That's why it's important to have this conversation, because sanctuary city and the migrants and asylum seekers are two different issues. Sanctuary city, if you're undocumented, we can't turn you over to ICE or authority. Migrants and asylum seekers were paroled into here. They're here legally. They were paroled into. But what the federal government did and Governor Abbott did, they said, we're going to send them up to Chicago, New York, Boston. And the federal government is saying, Eric, you can't allow them to work. You got to give them housing. You can't stop the buses from coming in. You cannot turn them over to ICE. All of that is illegal. If I do that, we're breaking law. So when people look at the migrants that are here, we didn't call people to come here. They were sent here by Governor Abbott, and the failure to secure our borders is allowing this to continue. And we're not getting any money from. We got about $100 million out of a $4 billion price tag. Look at Chicago right now. Look what's happening in Chicago right now. My brother, Mayor Johnson over there, what's happening with him. Look what's happening in Boston. Look what's happening in Houston, Los Angeles. And then do a comparative analysis of what's happening on our streets here. Wow, we dealt with that crisis, turned around our economy, outpacing the state in reading and math of our young people. I've been on Rikers Island more than any mayor in the history of the city, talking with inmates and correction officers to turn around what's happening on Rikers Island.
I know you go to Rikers in 2022 when there were 3 deaths back to back because corrections officers left their posts and allowed it to happen. You went to Rikers to express your support for the corrections officer. I know you go to Rikers.
No, when you go to these hercs and you're seeing these young people, and I walk in and I talk with them. Some of them come from West Africa, South America, Central America. All they're saying is, man, we just want to work. We don't want to sit around here all day and not do anything. That is why the real focus should be on our national government that's saying, why are you doing this to New York? Check out what they're doing. They're doing it to New York. They're doing it to Chicago. They're doing it to Los Angeles. They're doing it to Houston. What is the same in all those cities? All black mayors. All black mayors. And so what we're saying, same thing that I'm going through here, my brother Johnson is going through. My sister Bass is going through. My brother Turner is going through. So our folks, what they wanted to happen, Governor Abbott wanted to happen, we're going to turn these cities against their mayors. We're going to create this environment where they're all going to go against their mayors. Go Google what they're doing to my brother in Chicago. Go Google what they're doing to Sister Bass. So the cities have now turned against these black mayors that are making real change for the first time.
By over-policing black people.
And they're using this to say, okay, these black mayors are not competent. They can't run their cities. They're getting everything to the migrants and asylum seekers. This was a perfectly executed plan that we are buying into.
To make black mayors look bad across the country.
And when we're doing just the opposite.
Wow. Wow. There's not a race card this man will not pull. Oh my God, man. This guy, Eric Adams, is the most annoying mayor ever, okay? I'm going to tell you, Brandon Johnson is annoying, okay? But here's the thing about Brandon Johnson, right? Here's the thing about Brandon Johnson. I know what Brandon Johnson is, okay? He's a progressive, okay? I expect him to pull the race card, right? I expect him to deflect. I expect him never to take responsibility, right? I know how to deal with progressives, right? I know how to deal with Looney Tunes, okay? Eric Adams, on the other hand, he's a different animal, okay? Because he is like the quintessential, like, slimy, snake-like, swarmy, like, politician, right? The type of guy that will basically make you a promise and then stab you in the back immediately, right? He already knows that he's going to stab you in the back. And he's very, like, calculated in regards to how he going to do it, too, right? I mean, he's type of dude, I would never trust this guy, okay? Never trust him, okay? He is the epitome of what I do not like about politicians, right? I mean, this is the same guy who called his colleagues C-words, right? Racial slurs, referring to white police officers, okay? So again, you know, I personally think that this guy is the worst of the worst when it comes to politicians. And again, one of the reasons why is because he would be extremely difficult to deal with, right? But again, that's probably how you have to be to navigate New York politics, okay? Because it's pretty cutthroat out there, okay? So I get it. I understand why he is what he is. And to become the mayor of a city like New York is, you got to be a psychopath, okay? So I get it. But you also got to be a psychopath to become the mayor of a place like Chicago too. Undoubtedly, Brandon Johnson's a psychopath, but he's a different type of psychopath than Eric Adams, right? But Eric Adams, again, this guy, no responsibility whatsoever, no accountability. Nothing's his fault, right? Nothing's his fault. He says, well, you don't understand. Just because we're a sanctuary city, that doesn't encourage the illegals to come to our city. But he conveniently leaves out the fact that it's not just the sanctuary city policies, which, by the way, actually do encourage illegals to come to the city. Because, again, basically what it says is that, well, if you commit a crime here, we are not going to help ICE arrest you, right? We're not going to help ICE deport you. So even if you are paroled into the country, you're here legally, which again, these people are not, okay? I mean, these people are trying to take advantage of the system. They're only here legally because Biden has essentially allowed illegals to come here with legal status, even though they're coming here for reasons that aren't legal, okay, in my opinion, okay? But regardless, if these people, if they commit crimes, okay, the sanctuary city status of the city, again, prevents ICE from enforcing federal laws and deporting these people, right? Which, by definition, would encourage illegals to come to the city. You also had right to shelter laws that encourage the illegals to come to the city because by law, and again, this is a New York City law, they are required to be provided with shelter by the city, okay? These are all policies that are supported by the mayor in New York City. But yet he's blaming everybody else. He's blaming the federal government, which, yeah, I don't actually blame him for pointing the finger at the federal government, but who supported the federal government? You support the federal government, Eric Adams. You the one that was stomping for Biden. You call yourself the Biden of Brooklyn, right? You the Biden of Brooklyn, okay? This is what you said. You supported that man that has those open borders. You supported that man that refuses to give the illegals the right to work, which, by the way, that's what he's begging for. You hear him, right? He's begging for illegals to get work permits so they can do what? Take American jobs, right? So they can drive down them wages, right? So they can be cheap labor for a lot of the businesses in that city. Okay, that's what he's begging for. That's what he wants. But again, you can point the finger at the federal government, but you support that administration. Okay? It's not like you out here campaigning for Trump. When you start campaigning for Trump, that's when I'll give you some real credit. But as long as you support Biden, you look pretty silly pointing the finger at the federal government and boohoo whining and crying about them not doing their jobs at the border when, again, you're supporting them, right? You're supporting them. So I suggest you start campaigning for Trump, okay, if you're really against it. And then, of course, again, he pulls the race card, right? He says, well, Greg Abbott is sending us illegals because I'm black. Okay, look at the city, Chicago, LA, Houston, New York. He's sending us all these illegals because we're black. He's a racist, right? They're trying to make black mayors look bad. Well, this guy conveniently leaves out a few facts here that could help people get some more context behind what he's talking about here. Okay, he leaves out the fact that, first and foremost, all of these mayors are Democrat mayors of sanctuary cities. Again, policies that encourage illegals to come to those cities, policies that are welcoming towards illegals, okay? When you declare yourself a sanctuary city, you are essentially welcoming illegals, okay? That's what you're doing. Also, on top of that, Greg Abbott isn't just targeting black mayors. What about the mayor of Denver, who's white? He's a white man, by the way. Is Greg Abbott targeting him because he's black? Oh, you conveniently left that out. You conveniently left out the fact that illegals are going to Denver, and Denver is currently complaining about the illegals. Why'd you leave that out? Well, it didn't fit the narrative, right? Didn't fit the race hustle. Also, he's sending illegals to Boston. Is the mayor of Boston black? No. She's an Asian woman. Wait, I thought he was just sending the illegals to cities with black mayors to make black mayors look bad. I'm just saying. But I do know what is in common with all these cities. Again, they're run by Democrats and they're sanctuary cities. Maybe that's the reason why he's sending the illegals there, because you guys asked for them, right? Greg Abbott is not the person that made you Eric Adams decide to give out what basically is the equivalent of food stamps for illegal immigrants? He didn't make you do that.
Well, New York City is moving forward with a plan to give prepaid debit cards to migrant families, despite criticism from some city leaders. The pilot program initially handing out cards to 115 migrant families with children. The eligible families had to sign affidavits agreeing that the roughly $350 per week will only be used at grocery stores, bodegas, or convenience stores and can only be spent on food and baby supplies. Now, proponents say this is a better system and that there are protections in place to prevent fraud. So joining me now is New York City Republican Councilman David Carr. Councilman, thank you so much for your time. First of all, are these debit cards essentially any different than providing migrant families with actual food and supplies outright?
Thank you for having me. And the answer is no. There's no difference whatsoever. We've been providing as a city support to migrant families for well over 18 months now in the form that you're talking about, donations, food in the shelters that we've set up to the tune of, tens of millions, if not billions of dollars on the city's dime. And now we're just kind of making it worse by giving out these prepaid debit cards. It's absolutely a travesty.
And Councilman, that's what I want to talk about, because there are critics, and there are critics on both sides of the aisle who point to the potential for waste, point to the potential for fraud. Is that a valid concern?
Without a doubt. I mean, the fact that this was a no-bid contract is a huge problem, because not only is it a waste of taxpayers' money to be giving these cash handouts basically to migrants, many of whom may be here illegally, it's also insult to injury because they may not be getting the best value for money. We could have had a company that maybe did this for cheaper than the one that was ultimately selected. And that's why even my colleagues on the left, who are supportive of the migrants being here, find this contract to be unacceptable.
And Councilman, just talk to me, where is the money for this program coming from? Because we've heard from the mayor and, who is a Democrat, but saying that, listen, we cannot afford to continue to, house migrants. We're seeing a lot of cities that are struggling with this right now because it does come at a very high cost. So this program is in place to, obviously, we know people need help, but where is the money coming from?
Well, it's coming from the taxpayers of the city of New York. And I mean, and that's the great difficulty here, is that the folks on the left keep trying to say, oh, well, we need to do this more cheaply and more efficiently. But the reality is that the more New York City offers to migrants who are literally just arriving in this country, arriving in our city, the more of an attractive place we come to be for those who are looking for a place to land. Yes, they're coming to America for a lot of different reasons, but why are they choosing New York? And it's because of the generosity that the city has put forward to the detriment of New York City taxpayers that we continue to see more and more people come to the city to try to find their home.
Boom. It's really that simple. It's really that simple, right? The more that you offer to the illegal immigrants, the more likely they're going to be to come to your city, to want to come to your city. But again, according to Eric Adams, it's not anything that I'm doing. Don't blame me, the black man. It's the white man's fault. It's Greg Abbott's fault for sending us all of these illegals because I'm black, right? No, it's not the fact that illegals want to go to New York City because they know that they can commit crime in New York City and get away with it while also being provided for off taxpayer dime. Oh, no, it's not that, right? It's not that, okay? It's racism. Again, this guy is no surprise. Once you actually listen to this man talk and you see his ideology, the fact he never takes responsibility for anything, the bad things that happen in the city. He takes responsibility for all the good things, right, which are, few and far between. But the bad things, none of that is his fault, right? You can see why the city is in the current state that is in, right? Ultimately today, what this guy really wants is for Biden to allow the illegal immigrants to work, okay? This is why they're stomaching the illegals being there and paying for it, because ultimately they want these illegals to be allowed to work, right? That's what they want. And that's what Biden's going to do if Biden gets reelected, okay? He already told the Democrat mayors, hey, just hold on. Just wait until I'm reelected. And then I'm going to give all the illegal immigrants work permits. And then they're going to be able to take all these American jobs and, drive down the cost of wages, right? This is what they're going to do. So ultimately, at the end of the day, man, it's all a part of the plan. Okay, I mean, this is why they're doing what they're doing. They're not doing what they're doing for free, right? Because they don't think they're going to get a return on investment. No, they're just waiting until they can work. This is why he's begging Biden to do it right now. He's like, screw it, do it right now. Biden can't do it right now. If Biden does it right now, it will destroy him even more, right, in regards to his approval, especially when it comes to this issue right here. Because the cat will be out the bag when it comes to what the plan is, right? You won't be able to deny it anymore, right? It wouldn't no longer be a conspiracy, okay, which is the left says. It's a conspiracy that Democrats are letting in these illegal immigrants to take American people's jobs, right? It's a conspiracy. Until Biden decides to actually grant them work permits, which he will if he's reelected, 100%. That's what they're waiting for. That's what they're waiting for. And I guarantee you, if Trump happens to win, right, they know damn well they ain't getting no work permits. And they'll be begging for Trump to deport the illegals, right? They'll be begging, okay? They'll become far-right extremists at that point. Okay, because at that point, there will be no hope. Okay, they'll have to keep providing for these people unless they actually start to, hey, say, you know what, we're going to help the federal government actually, deport these people and send them back, which is all the more reason why Trump has to win, right? Trump needs to win. If Trump doesn't win, I'm telling you guys, you're going to see the border situation, the immigration crisis become even worse, okay? It's going to be at a level that you wouldn't even have thought was imaginable. And it's already there now, but it's only going to get worse, right? It's going to get worse. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.